Hello everyone, and welcome to part 2 of our invoice application. And in the previous video, what we did is we built out the UI, and what I want to do in this video is begin setting up our state values and refactoring our code so that it actually looks manageable and we can begin passing down our data into our actual invoice application. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this to the side and we can begin refactoring our code. And actually, now let me just place this full screen. And what I'm going to do is inside my source folder, I'm going to create a new folder called components. So components, and our components is going to house all these components that we created. Okay, so just refactoring. So we're going to have header.js. We're going to have, let's call this main details.js, which is your details. And then let's call this client details.js. And then we have client details, we have dates, so we need the dates component, so dates.js. And then we need our table, so table.js. And then we need our notes component, so notes.js. And then we need our footer, so footer.js. Okay, now let's just begin copying and pasting. So all of this in the footer, cut this out, let's say _rfc, and then let's paste this inside here. First of all, return a fragment, and then we can remove these comments. Okay, and if you're wondering about _rfc, you can go ahead and install an extension called ES7 React Redux GraphQL and React Native Snippets, which just allows you to perform some shorthand properties so that you don't have to keep repeating the same lines of code all the time that you need. Okay, so we can save this, and then let's go ahead and let's grab our notes component. So this one right here, let's say _rfc, let's return a fragment, and we have text area. You can remove this comment. Okay, we can go ahead and remove this comment. And actually, you know what I need to do is I need to render the footer here, just so that I don't forget and something breaks accidentally. And then we need to have our notes component here. I'm auto importing them. Okay, so it's going to auto import at the top right here, so footer notes. And then let's grab our table. This is our table div _rfc, return a fragment. This is not technically going to be a div, but we're going to convert this into a table once we get to that portion of our application. And let me close this so that the files become just a bit more manageable. Then let's render out our table. This table not showing. Okay, let's just import it. So import table from ./components/table. Okay, and then let's just go from the top. So this is our header right here. Let's render out our header, and then we can paste in _rfc. We can return a fragment and we can paste in our header. Okay, and let's make sure that we're importing this. Fantastic. We can remove these comments and this comment, and then we can have your details. So the main details section, so main details _rfc. We can paste that inside here. Fantastic. And then we can have main details. Also import this. There we go. This is client details, so cut this out, and then let's say _rfc, return a fragment, paste this in, and then let's render client details. Let's remove these comments because these components are self-explanatory. And then we can have our dates, so cut this out, let's say _rfc, and then we can have this pasted inside. So we have our dates, and let's render out our dates component, dates, and there we go. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to grab all these components and then paste them inside a div. Okay, and this is very important because of something that we're going to do in a moment. Okay, and the handle print function can remain right here, but it's going to break. Okay, it's going to break because of this, because we are trying to access, we are trying to access handle print inside our header, this function right here. So let's fix that immediately by passing this function as a prop inside our header component. So I'm going to create a prop called handle print, and I'm going to set this equal to the handle print function, this right here, which means I can go into my header component and I can destructure it. So, and I can just say handle print like so, and then that should be fine. It should be accessed right here, and it should fix this error. And there we go. It does that sometimes, so you can just reload it. And there we go. So now we can click on the print button and it's going to still show us our print dialog. Okay. Now, once we have this, let's see what we can do. We can go ahead and probably begin setting up our state values. So our state values, I'm going to set them all up inside our app.js, because our app is our main component, and we're going to be passing down the data from our app component, which is the parent, into our children components, which are these right here. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to import useState at the top. At the top right here, I'm going to say import useState, because we're going to be managing local state. This is coming from React, and what I'm going to say is const. The first thing that I want to do actually is just say create a state value called show invoice, and set show invoice. This is equal to useState, and by default it's going to be false. Okay, so the reason why I have this state value is because we're going to be toggling between the form and our invoice right here. Okay, that's why it was very important for me to place this inside a div, because we're going to be having a very huge form below this. Probably I can destruct it into the form component, but probably I'm going to do that in a later video if it becomes too bulky. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we have show invoice and set show invoice. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this entire div, okay, and then I'm going to place a conditional using my curly brackets, and I'm going to say only when show invoice is true, then I want to render this div. Okay, but then this is technically not all that good, because it only evaluates to true. It always evaluates to true. So instead of having this, let's say when show invoice is true, then I want to render this, and then when it is false, then I want to render something else. And something else here, let's just have an input with a type of text, and with a name of text, with an ID of text, and then let's just have a placeholder that says enter your name, like so, and then let's just close it out. Okay, and then let's save this, and hopefully this is going to work, and we have that. So now we have an input, and by the way, I've just remembered that I want to add an attribute here called autocomplete, and set it to off, just so that I don't accidentally leak all my information. And actually, you know what, let me just open a guest tab. Okay, then let's go to localhost 3000, just so that I don't accidentally leak all my information. Okay, so we're going to have this. Now we need a way to toggle between this form and our invoice. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a button below this. Now I can place this to the side. Okay, so I'm going to create a button below this, and then this button is going to say, and actually this is an error because we can only return one item, so let's return a fragment. Okay, and then below this, let's have a button that says preview invoice. So preview invoice, and it should be right here. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is give this a class name. Let's just tell this out of bg blue dash 500. Let's say padding y of 2, padding x of 8. Let's have a rounded border with a box shadow, very slight box shadow. Let's have a border 2 and a border dash blue dash 500. Let's say on hover we want the bg to be transparent, and on hover we want the text to be blue dash 500. And actually here, let me add that the text should be white by default with a font of bold. And then let's have a transition duration of all, transition all the items, sorry. And then probably we can say duration of 300, so that it's smooth. Let's save this. Let's wait to have, we should have this. Look at that, looking fantastic. And then what I'm going to do is actually, let me grab this entire thing, and then let's return a div, so that now I can go inside this div and give this a class name of flex and flex dash column. So this goes to the bottom like so, and then let's say justify center. Okay, I don't want to say item center because let me show what's going to happen. we say item center, that this is going to happen. I don't want this to happen. Okay, that's why I don't have item center, I only have justify center. Okay, so that we are going to have this. Okay, preview invoice and so on and so forth. Now what I'm going to do is on this button we're going to have an on click event, and this on click is going to say set show invoice to true. We're going to set it to true. Okay, so we have an on click, we pass in our inline function where we're going to change this state value from false to true, which means that now we should be able to see our invoice. Let's save this and then let's test it out, and we should see this. Okay, and then now we're going to do the opposite on the invoice. So right inside our invoice, let me just place the button here. I think this will be good enough. And you know what, let me see, let's say edit information. Edit information, we have that. And then this button is going to have the same styles, so the same class name. So let's just copy this and paste it inside here, and then on click for this button. So passing our inline function, then we're going to say oops, set show invoice to false. Okay, and then now watch, let me add a margin top of 5 so that it pushes just a bit from this. There we go. Now when we click on this, we should go back to our form, and when we click on this, we should preview. Okay, there we go. So we can toggle between our information. Now let's set up all the state values that we're going to need for our form. Okay, so let's just take a look at this. We're going to need a few items. Let me just place a comment, and we're going to need the name, the address, we're going to need the client name, client address, we're going to need the invoice number, invoice date, and the due date. And then we're going to need our table, which is technically, I'm not going to do the table right now. We're going to need the notes, we're going to need the emails. So let me place them above here because they're the same. Email, we're going to need the phone number, we're going to need the bank account, or rather bank, let's say bank name, and then the bank account number, and then we're going to need the account number, account holder. Account holder is going to be the same as the name that we provide here, and then we're going to need the website. Okay, so website. So we're going to have all these state values, and in case I've forgotten some, then we're just going to add all of them. So let's create these state values, and let me just place this as a split screen because it becomes easier. So right here we're going to say const, let's say const name, set name. This is use state. By default it's an empty string, and you know what, let me just copy this how many times. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12. So copy this 12 times. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12. This is going to say address, set address. This is going to say email and set email. By default all of them are going to be empty strings, so don't worry about that. This is correct. Okay, so email and set email. Then we need phone and set phone, set phone, and then we need bank name and set bank name, and then we need, what's the name, bank account. So bank account and set bank account, and then we need website. So website and set website, and then we need the client name. So client name and set client name, and then we need the client address. So client address and set client address, and then we need the invoice number. So invoice number, set invoice number, and then we have invoice date. So invoice date and set invoice date, and then we should have due date and set due date, and then we have our notes, so set notes, and we're going to have that. Okay, can close this, and now we can begin creating our form, which has all these items. And I said it's going to be a very massive form. Now we have our button here, we have our input with the type of text. Now what I want to do is I want to create a label on top of this with the name for this is going to be name. So let me change this ID to name. So name, and we should see this is going to say enter your name, input types, name. Okay, autocomplete off. Now what we're going to do is we're going to change this into a control form. So we're going to pass in our value here, and the value for this is going to be coming from our name state value, right here. Okay, and then we're going to have an on change handler. So anytime that you type in, we want this to run, where we're going to say set name into e.target.value, which basically means that every time that we type inside this input, then it's going to populate the value of the input is going to be gotten from the name, which comes from whatever that we type in inside here. I don't know whether that makes sense, but I'm going to try and explain it better. So what we're going to do is we're just going to do a bit of copy pasting. Okay, so this is our first one. Let's create our second one. This is going to be enter your address, input type text. This is going to be HTML for address with an ID of address. So, or address, I don't know. Anyway, so the value for this is going to be coming from the address, and this is going to be set address. Set address into e.target.value. So anytime that we type inside our address, then it's going to call on this inline function here, which is going to populate our default state value of address, which is an empty string. Okay, and then we are going to have this, and this is looking almost correct. Enter address, just making sure that I'm not making any mistakes. Okay, so this is going to be the second one. Then the third one is going to be what? This is the email, and then the form. So this is email. Let's just grab all of this. Email like so. Enter your email. This is going to be set email, and this is the input type of email. Email with a name of email. Let's change this name to address, just so it's more descriptive, and we have that. Okay, looking fantastic. So now what I want to do is I just want to save this for now. Okay, and what we're going to have on the screen is going to be, oops, E is not defined because we should be accessing the event here. Sorry for that. Access the event here and access the event here because we're also accessing it inside e.target.value. So save that, and we should see this on the screen. So you have enter your name, enter your address, and enter your email. Now what I want to do is I just want to fill in these values, and then I want to pass in whatever we fill in, and we're going to access them inside here just so we can see that we can access them, right? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go above here inside the main details, and then I'm going to be passing in the name, the address, and the email as a prop, because those are the ones that we need in our main details component. Okay, because the main details, sorry, we require the name of the person sending the invoice and then the address of the person sending the invoice. So, and those are our two state values that have the name and the address. Okay, so we just need to pass them down as props. So I'm going to create a prop called name, and I'm going to set it equal to our name state value. And then I'm going to create another prop called address and setting it equal to address state value, like so. So once I save this, then I can go into main details, and then I can access them inside here as props by destructuring them by saying name and then address. Okay, and then I'm going to grab all of this, and then now the name is going to be dynamic, and I'm going to return the name inside here, and the address is also going to be dynamic, like so. So once you save this, then we should see nothing on the screen because we haven't filled in the form. So let's fill in the form inside here. Let's say Nairobi, and let's say preview invoice, and look at that, we have this set it to Nairobi, and we can edit the information. Let's say Kenya, and look at that, it changes. Very nice. So now this has become dynamic, and actually let's style this a bit better. Let's make this font bold, and then let's say that for medium screens, let's say text dash for example. Yeah, just make it a bit bigger. Okay, and so what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing in the footer. So let's go into our footer right inside. Where is it? Up.js, and inside the footer we're going to pass in our name prop. This is going to be our name state value, and then the address is going to be the address state value, and then we also need our website, which is going to be our equal to our website state value. And did we create our website URL? No, the email. We also need to pass in the email, so let's pass in the email inside here. So email equals to email state value, and then let's create our input for the URL. Okay, so right below this, I can just grab this up and paste it inside here. We can say enter your website, and then we can say this is going to be input type URL with a name of website with an ID of website. Actually, this should say website as well. Did I change it on top? Email, address. Okay, fantastic. This is going to be enter your website, and then this is going to be set website, and this is going to say website, like so. Now let's save this and let's see what we have on the screen. We can go back to edit information and we should see enter your email. So let's just say @gmail.com. Let's say https tsbsankara.co.ke, and we should see this. Okay, so we should see enter your email. Now technically this looks like it doesn't change, but if I fail to fill in this information, okay, and then say preview invoice now. Okay, let's reload this. Let's just fill it in again. Okay, now the reason why this isn't changing is because I've just forgotten to change it inside the footer. So let's go inside our footer component and let's make this dynamic because I had coded it. So we need to get the name here, we need to get the email, we need to get the address, and we need to get the website. So this should now change to name. This should now change to email. We need the phone number, but we don't have it yet. This should change to name as well. And then this now should change to website. Website. Okay. So save that and look at that. Now, if we don't fill in anything, then these remain blank. Okay, they remain blank. Now, what I want to do is let's go ahead and actually, no, let me make this into a link first of all. So cut out, let's say href equals to this. Oops. Href equals to this, and then we can just pass in the website once again. So website. So that now this is going to be a link. Let me just pass in a website. .co.ke. Let's see that now this is a link. Look at that. Okay, fantastic. Probably I want this to open on a new tab, so let me say target equals to underscore blank with a rel of no opener and no referrer. So fantastic. So let's create our state value of the form. Let's go ahead and continue creating our form. Told you it's going to be a massive form. Okay, so website, we need our phone number, so paste this down. This is going to be website, just grab all of this. So phone, and then set phone right inside here. That should be fine. Enter your phone, enter your phone. And then once we have the phone, what do we need? We need the bank name and bank account. So copy all of this, paste it out, just grab all of this. Bank name, this should be capital B, bank name, and name, bank name, ID, bank name. Okay, fantastic. And in case you're wondering, I'm grabbing all of these items by using Control and D. Okay, Control and D. That's why I can change all of them at once. You just place multiple cursors. And then once we have this, then we need our bank account. So grab all of these once again. Bank, what else is state value? Is it bank account? Bank account, okay. And then this is a capital B, so set bank account. Enter your bank account number. Enter your bank account number. This is bank account, this is bank account, bank account. Okay, fantastic. And then, oops, mistake. This is a type of text. This is a type of text. This is a type of text. Okay, don't make that mistake. So copy this. We need our next state value, which is the client name, client address. Okay, so client name, grab all of these, client name, this is set client name, this is enter your client's name. Okay, so enter your client's name. Then the next one is going to be client address, so enter your client's address. So grab this client address. Okay, so set client address, this is a capital C, enter your client's address, input type text. Okay, fantastic. And then we should have invoice number, invoice date and due date. So copy this, paste it inside here. This should be invoice number. Okay, this is a type of text. Okay, that's fantastic. Invoice number, enter your, okay, instead of this, let's just say invoice number. Okay, and then this is the type of text. Okay, fantastic. And then we need the invoice date, so copy this, paste it inside here. Let's say invoice date, then grab all of this, say invoice date. There's a capital I, so set invoice date, change this to invoice date. And then now this is the type of date. Okay, so change that as well. And then we can copy this down here, and then we can change this into due date. So change this to due date, and then this is a capital D, so set due date. And then finally we need our notes component. So the final notes component actually is going to be a text area. So let me remove this. This is going to be HTML4 notes, let's say additional notes. And then let's have a text area with a name of text area. Actually, let's just say name of notes and an ID of notes, like so. Let's say placeholder that says additional notes to the client. Okay, and then we can set the value for this equal to notes, and then we can say on change. Then we want to pass in our inline function, access the event of e, and then we can say set notes into e.target.value. Okay, so let's save this, and our form is going to be massively huge. We have no error, fantastic. And this is going to be our form. So let's fill in, and actually before we fill in all that information, let me just see what we have on the preview invoice. We need to pass in the client name inside this component. So let's go back to our components, and inside client details we need to pass in client name. So client name prop is going to be equal to client name state value, and then client address prop is going to be the client address state value. And then let's go inside here, let's destructure both of them. So client name and client address, and then we can change this now because we're going to be accessing the client name, and then change this to client address. Fantastic. So save this, and then let's go back inside here. In the dates we need to pass in the invoice number. So invoice number prop is going to be invoice number state value, and then invoice date is going to be equal to the invoice date state value, and then the due date is going to be equal to the due date state value. And then let's go inside this component, and actually, you know what, let me just grab can't grab this, so copy these three, and then inside here let's just destructure them, place a comma. Okay, so invoice number right now outside of this, okay, this is going to be invoice number, and then right here this is going to be invoice date, and then this is going to be due date. Now I'm placing them outside because remember this is styled differently. So I want this one to be a dark text and then this is going to be lighter just a bit. So save this and then let's go ahead into our table. We don't have our table yet. So inside the notes, we need the notes state value, which is going to be equal to the notes, like so. Sorry, the notes prop is going to be equal to the notes state value. And then let's destructure it here. So notes. And then inside here, we can say notes. Okay, fantastic. And then let's go ahead inside our footer. Now inside our footer, we need to pass in a few more things where we need the bank account, we need the phone. Let's just place this to the side. So we need to access the phone. We need the bank account. So bank. And then we need the, what else? Account number. What is the state value for that? Bank account, bank name. We need the bank name. So bank name equals to bank name state value. Okay, and is that all? Is that all? We're going to find out if that is all. So we need the phone, the bank account, and the bank name. Okay. So inside the footer, let's go inside the footer. Let's destructure these three inside here. Place a comma here, place a comma here, and it should be fine. So the address, do we need the address inside here? Actually, I don't think we do. We can remove it. So the phone is right inside here. So we need to change this to say the phone number. Then this is bank account. So bank account. This is going to say bank name. So bank name. And then the website, this is correct. Okay, so let's save this and then let's see what we have. Now we're getting everything from the form. Now, if we don't fill in the form, then we don't get anything. So let's fill in the form. So enter your email, website, enter your phone, bank name, let's say ABSA, bank account, let's say 12345678890, client name, let's say John Doe, client address, let's say Istanbul, invoice number, let's say 1001, invoice date, let's set it to today's date, due date, let's set it to 5th, additional notes, let's say these are some additional notes, and then let's say preview invoice. Oops, and it's because I haven't saved this. I haven't saved the app.js. Okay, we might need to refill this form. Okay, there we go. So we have this, we have this, we have John Doe, we have Istanbul, we have our invoice, we have our due date, and so on and so forth. Now probably we need to restyle this just a bit. Let me see. Need to restyle this just a bit. Yeah, I don't like the way this form stretches out right around here. I don't like the way it stretches out. So let's go inside our app, right inside here. Let's change, let's say for medium screens, then the max width should be XL, and then for medium screens, let's say MX Auto, which means we can remove this because it's already applied on medium screens. And then let's say for large screens, then the max width should be 2XL. Let me see how this looks. For small screens, and then let's say that for XL screens, then the max width should be 4XL. Okay, let's go inside this invoice date. Okay, so inside the dates, and then invoice date, this list item is going to have a class name of bggray-100, just so it's a bit different from these two. And then what I'm going to do is inside these three list items, so first of all, give this to class name of, and then we can just go inside here. Let's say padding y1 and padding x, actually not padding all round of 1. And just so it's a bit thicker, like so, looking fantastic. And then let's go inside our footer. And then inside our footer, let me just find our footer component. Let me give this class name of footer so that I can go inside my index.css. And then I can remove this actually. And I can say that for the dot footer, and I want to target the list items. Then I want to say a margin of let's say 0.5 rem on the top and bottom, and 0.2 rem on the left and right. 0.2 rem, how much is that? That looks fine. And then let's go inside the footer once again, and then let's just say border dash top dash 2, and then border dash gray dash 300. Let's see how this looks. So we're going to have that, and then let's say padding on the top of 5, push it downwards like so, looking fantastic. Now these are additional notes. Now let me style this, because you'll notice if I keep on adding more notes, then it's going to span all the way to the end, and I don't want that to happen. So let's go inside our notes component, and I'm going to give this a class name of width dash. Let me say that for large screens, then it should be width dash half 1/2. Okay, and then we can actually test it out by saying lorem. Actually, let me just copy this. Oops, copy this and just paste it a couple of times, and we're going to have this, so it doesn't go all the way to the end now, and this is actually much better. And what we can do is just justify the text. So let's say text justify. I think that is much better for me anyways. And yeah, now in the next video, what we're going to do is we're going to handle our table. And actually, you know what, let me also fix these buttons, because they're now bothering me. So what I'm going to do is inside this our app component, I'm just going to copy this, and then let's go inside our header. That's where we had our buttons, so right inside here. Now instead of these class names, because I wanted to create custom class names, but I'm not going to do that. So let's have this, and then let's paste this inside here, and then let's paste this inside here. So btn send and then let's remove this margin top. We don't need this margin top. So this is blue, this is green. Oh, wait a minute, this is the download button. This should be gray, sorry. This should be gray, this should also be gray. This should be blue, and then this should be green. Let's see how these look. We're going to have this. Okay, so print, download, and send. And then on the second button inside here, actually on the list item, what I can do is add a class name of mx-2. So margin on the x, so it just pushes it away from these two items. And now for the send button, we're going to create our model. For the download, we're going to prompt a download, and from the print, of course, this happens, so we can print out the document. Fantastic. And we're going to deal with this also as well, so don't worry about that. Now what I want to do, the final thing before I commit this to GitHub, is I want to target all the buttons, and I want to say user select and set this to none, because I don't want to be able to select the text inside the buttons. Okay, and that is working correctly. Fantastic. So this is going to be our form, and of course we're going to style out our form much better, because this looks horrible. Okay, but yeah, that is going to be it for this video. In the next video, we're going to be dealing with our model. We're going to style out our model, and then probably we're going to deal with the table, and then also going to style out this form. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe and ring the notification bell so that you're always notified of new uploads.